Tonight on K2, has it become too hard to do business in Portland?
We're here to be competitive. I don't want to lose to Salt Lake City, Indianapolis, the Twin Cities, Milwaukee, Denver. I'm sick of that.
Or is a turnaround finally taking shape?
I have a lot of hope in the direction that the city is going right now.
From neighborhood coffee shops to downtown high-rises.
There's no question in my mind and in most of the business community's mind that the largest challenge is our tax structure.
The struggle is real. For many, the struggle is not just about profits. It's about survival.
So a lot of our business has actually moved out of Portland. We've had to go to other areas to pursue work.
But now, city leaders say they're at a turning point.
And what we have to do is make sure that we're an affordable city for people to take a risk.
The promise? Real action, not just talk.
I think Portlanders are tired of messaging. I think we need to have actions. We need to demonstrate that things feel different.
Is it too little, too late, or just in time to save the city's business future?
I think it's imperative to show small business owners that we have their back.
K2 is on your side, digging into what's holding businesses back and what needs to change to rebuild Portland's economic foundation. Portland's cost of business starts now. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm K2 investigator Ray Gasway. In a city where opinions often clash, Portland business owners agree on two major challenges: permitting and taxes. City leaders admit there's a problem and say they're committed to fixing it. The question now is, will those solutions come quickly enough? Tonight, we look at the issues, the solutions, and the progress so far. Few things say Portland like the aroma of freshly roasted coffee.
Most of the folks who roast in this space are very particular with how their coffee tastes. This is actually the first machine that we installed here at the Buckman.
Cassie Gleason started Buckman Coffee Factory in 2015 in Southeast Portland. This allows people to roast and bag their own coffee.
That's right.
Without having to buy all the equipment.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. It's a co-roasting facility with a simple concept. Coffee companies pay her hourly or through a membership to get access to their equipment.
As a small business, you know, it's really expensive to actually find a brick and mortar, to get a good lease. The purchase of the equipment itself is really expensive. Going through the process of installing the equipment, making sure you're up to code, all those things are like really onerous for a small company.
Yeah. It's a novel concept in a city that loves its coffee.
We're actually in operation 7 days a week.
Cassie says her facility gives coffee makers the agency to make their own product. However, Cassie's experience trying to expand her business illustrates the city's complicated rules to do so.
People walk by all the time, looking in, wanting to buy coffee, and so we were ready to take that leap.
Taking that leap and opening a coffee shop meant doing the research, but that research turned into a roadblock.
There was a requirement on making some repairs to the sidewalk that were above and beyond just repairing the sidewalk, and then we were also asked to put in a door.
Cassie and her sister ended up abandoning the project for now.
At the end of the day, there were just too many expenses. It would never have penciled out for us.
Cassie's experience is similar to stories we've heard from other corners of the city. It's been the subject of numerous K2 investigations. The permit requirements are written into city code and triggered by certain upgrades or projects. In Cassie's case, changing the occupancy of a building. The city code says that leads to more visitors, so Cassie has to improve the sidewalk to accommodate those guests. Business owners say the cost of these projects is so high, it's tough to open or expand. It comes as no surprise to City Councilor Jamie Dunphy.
One thing we hear when we talk to business owners, small business owners particularly, is the permit process is complicated, but it's also really expensive.
Yeah.
Almost too expensive to get into the game.
Absolutely.
What are you hearing from that from your constituents?
Yeah, I hear exactly the same, that if people want to even get access to renting a storefront and opening that local coffee shop, that the permitting and the pace by which the city actually approves these projects is so slow and so cumbersome and so exceptionally expensive that it makes it completely prohibitive from even starting.
Critics argue the rules are one reason development in Portland has slowed to a crawl. Michelle Schultz sees it firsthand.
A lot of our business has actually moved out of Portland. We've had to go to other areas to pursue work.
She works for the Portland-based GBD Architecture. The design firm helps developers plan their projects. She says the city's permitting process is just one reason so much of her business is now outside the city.
I think it is expensive, but it can be expensive in other jurisdictions. The duration is long, but a lot of times it's more the uncertainty of you can't just know, okay, I'm doing this project, it's going to take me 6 months or it's going to take me a year. Like that, knowing that, and 6 months is a lot of potential opportunity to be leasing space and getting revenue on a project. There are a number of cities, even in kind of our metro region, where it is it's much easier for developers to really understand what their timeline is and how quickly they're going to be able to get a shovel in the ground.
Councilor Dunphy says there's urgency to change the system.
Family members and community members who are trying to build something out of nothing. And we really should build our entire system around accommodating those and trying to allow for new, exciting, experimental types of businesses.
To that point, Dunphy and his colleagues unanimously approved relaxing permitting rules tied to some development projects. Certain projects won't have to fix things like sidewalks and street corners in order to renovate the inside of a building through early 2029.
I think that there are some things that are a relic of our Cowboy West ways, and that we put the responsibility on the individual, rugged individualism. If you're going to participate, this is your cost to participate in our city. But we can't operate that way. We are seeing such major disinvestment. We are seeing so many layoffs happening in the region, and we are seeing the economy barely staying alive. And we can push right now in order to make some of those requirements more on the public responsibility and less on the individuals to try and do that. The system isn't serving us well by requiring individuals to do this. That's why you end up with weird orphan sidewalks that are only one property wide. It's why you have inconsistent building standards and inconsistent access standards throughout major business districts.
Dunphy says council plans to go further on overhauling permitting rules.
I think Portlanders are tired of messaging. I think we need to have actions. We need to demonstrate that things feel different, that things are behaving differently, that they are actually operating in a way that they can feel that they are being heard and that they don't feel abused at the end of the process.
That may look like waiving certain requirements for smaller projects or smaller businesses. He says his aim is creating a system that recognizes the difference in building a whole campus versus opening a small business.
Other major cities have that level of nuance, and for whatever reason, Portland has been a bit of a blunt object.
If this is a big apple, you're going to take a bite at a time. What are some tangible bites you see that the city council can take to make a difference?
I want to have those further conversations about understanding where our code is in conflict between the Transportation Bureau and the Sewer Bureaus. I want to understand how can we get it so that fewer cooks are in the kitchen. The city of Gresham, every permit only is looked over by 2 engineers, but in the city of Portland, it's 8 engineers that have to look at something. And it's not that Gresham is getting less safe, less quality housing. The processes just work better. I think that we don't need to have the world's best permitting system, but we can certainly be as good as Gresham or Milwaukee or Happy Valley.
Portland City Council President Alana Pertogini sees it the same way.
So how do we make our code as easy to navigate as possible? How do we make sure that that balance, what costs are individuals taking on when they make changes to their property versus what costs are socialized across the city is right, so that we can continue to hold the line on the things that have to do with our future and our values as well. And what we have to do is make sure that we're an affordable city for people to take a risk.
There's a real spirit of cooperation. We love to share roasting techniques.
Small business owners like Cassie say the shift at City Hall, the acknowledgement that things need to change, is noticeable. It's one reason there's newfound optimism.
Some of the things that I've personally dealt with, like some of the irrationalities of our situation, and I feel like it's landing with people I've talked to, and they're looking at real solutions.
The question, will those real solutions come quickly enough? Coming up,
we're here to be competitive. I don't want to lose to Salt Lake City, Indianapolis, the Twin Cities, Milwaukee, Denver. I'm sick of that.
Is Portland's tax structure helping or hurting its quest to beat competitor cities? Welcome back. If permitting represents the hardest part about getting open, taxes may be the hardest part about staying open, depending on who you ask. We also learned it may be one thing holding Portland back. Portland is known as a foodie town, thanks in no small part to what happens in kitchens like this.
Single egg over medium.
B-Saws is a Portland staple with roots dating back to the early 1900s. Ramsey Hattar bought it during the pandemic.
I think it's just like anything, this is the industry I'm in now. And so if I see opportunities, I chase those opportunities. You know, I see little niches and areas where I can be successful and I pursue them.
He also owns Solo Club next door and River Pig and Papi Chulo's in the Pearl. His roots are firmly in Portland's food and beverage scene.
What would you say is the biggest factor, the biggest hurdle in opening a business today in Portland?
In Portland, the biggest hurdle is the cost. It's skyrocketed. I mean, I think everyone's seen the numbers. You know, we are, I think, the #1 tax small business community, the highest tax bracket small business community in the nation.
If city leaders today say we want to make it easier to open a small business in Portland, what do you think the first step they should take is?
Taxation breaks.
Business taxes in Portland are unlike any of our neighbors. The city charges 2.6% on qualified business income. Multnomah County adds another 2%. On top of that, businesses pay a 1% regional tax for homelessness, bringing the total to more than 5.5%. For some businesses. Washington and Clackamas counties have no business taxes at all outside the regional tax. Taxes are an issue from restaurants serving food to office towers downtown.
Today, what do you see as the biggest hurdle to Portland's full recovery?
There's no question in my mind and in most of the business community's mind that the largest challenge is our tax structure.
Vanessa Sturgeon runs TMT Management. Her company owns and manages a number of high-rises in Portland.
There are huge amounts of businesses and people moving out of Multnomah County, and it's very easy to do so and avoid some of those taxes by just getting over into Washington County or Clackamas County.
Sturgeon says the tax burden leads prospective office tenants to sign leases elsewhere. She told K2's Steve Dunn the same thing in a recent town hall.
That issue, far and away beyond public safety, is what is impeding the office market from coming back in Portland, is our tax structure.
Mayor Keith Wilson opened the door for a correction.
There's opportunity, business license taxes. If we want to talk about businesses, then perhaps we want to raise the threshold and really accentuate the need to bring small businesses back into our community. We have levers, and I know council and I are going to be looking at that, but there's opportunity. We need to take a good hard look at those taxes, and we actually have to action a change.
Sturgeon says policymakers are starting to take notice in part because they're losing money. Look at this. City records show business tax revenues peaked at $206 million between July 2022 and June 2023. It dipped to $185 million in the next 12 months. The most recent fiscal year was up to $196 million, but still underperformed the city's forecast. That, combined with cratering property values downtown due to office vacancies, have created a pinch on city coffers.
Now that they're seeing how it's impacting their tax revenue, the government is starting to clearly understand that there has been a significant mistake. Business is part of an overall healthy economy. Workers across all income stratuses are part of a healthy economy. And when one thing gets out of balance, the whole system gets out of balance.
A recent report from Governor Tina Kotek's Central City Task Force found Portland had the second highest marginal tax rate in the country, behind only New York City. The group pushed policymakers to make the system more straightforward and ease the burden. The governor has echoed those calls.
We've seen a lack of revenue coming into the city.
Andrew Hone served on that task force and is the president and CEO of the Portland Metro Chamber.
Well, I think there's huge positive implications for when you start to lower the burden of doing business here. We need to improve our attractiveness for investment. And the reality is, according to the Urban Land Institute, ULI, tracks real estate attractiveness across every peer region in the country. We are 80 out of 81. So we are almost dead last, with only Hartford, Connecticut being less attractive for investment. And while people may say, why does that matter to be an attractive place for investment? It's because the government can't just build buildings by itself. The private sector can't just manifest money on trees. You need to attract capital to build things like housing, multifamily housing, which we desperately need.
Hone says things are changing, no doubt.
The things that have changed for me is that if I use the word incentive in 2019, that was a 4-letter word.
But he says more needs to be done about the personal and business taxes in the city and county, especially to recruit the kinds of businesses he says the city needs.
Those conversations have to happen, but it should be more than talk. We actually need people to put ideas on the table that are legislative or electoral. We really need to get to brass tacks in a literal sense around getting these fixed before we lose too much of the economy, too much of the vibrancy of the city, and that will be hugely detrimental to our well-being and our national reputation, frankly.
The mayor's comments you heard in that K2 town hall are proof of the changing sentiment. Councilor Jamie Dunphy proposed doubling the income threshold for the city's business tax. So far, nothing has changed. Many business owners are hopeful that happens soon.
If they came out and said, hey, we're going to raise the threshold, we're going to waive it for a certain period of time, what kind of difference do you think that would make for small business owners?
It's a huge difference. That's a huge difference because it not only allows us to operate a little more freely and afford things that we currently can't afford, like hiring more staff or improving fixtures or doing all kinds of things, throwing events. It would help a lot.
Amid the challenges, there is progress coming up.
I think it's imperative to show small business owners that we have their back.
How a new office within Prosper Portland, specifically for small businesses, is trying to make it easier to get off the ground.
You can see that the coffee looks like it's dancing. It's actually being churned.
There's more than just coffee brewing in Portland. Despite the headwinds from things like permitting and taxes, the city has a new blend it hopes wakes up small business growth.
I'm John Beebe, and I am a small business liaison with the Office of Small Business for Districts 1 and Districts 3.
John Beebe is one of a handful of employees in the city's new Office of Small Business. It's within Prosper Portland, the city's economic development arm, and opened in May.
Empowering a train-the-trainer kind of situation with the NPNs.
Yeah. He's a liaison, as you heard, tasked with connecting with small business owners.
So I think our goal is to fill a space that wasn't there for small businesses and help businesses navigate to not only city resources, community-based resources, but resources at large. Be their accountability buddy when we have opportunities to make favorable introductions to those folks, whether it is permitting, access to capital, a business association they haven't worked with. Make sure we do a warm handoff and follow up.
The office is the city's response to a chamber report detailing just how complicated the city's permitting process used to be. The chamber found comparable cities had an office specifically for small businesses.
And you can help your community starting there.
Beebe says his job is to streamline things like permitting. It's also to track common challenges, questions, and concerns, and take them to people like Council President Alana Pertle-Guinea.
What I want to hear is what the biggest challenges are to be able to do that work here in Portland. Is it the taxes? Is it the cost of property in our city? Is it that it's too hard to navigate our tax systems? Or is it something else that we haven't heard yet because it can't break through all of those other talking points that we do hear from people?
For the first time, Portland now has a specific group of people setting out to answer those questions for policymakers. If nothing else, Beebe is a name and a face for entrepreneurs and prospective business owners.
In a city that loves its small businesses like Portland, how important is an office like the Small Business Office?
I think it's imperative. I think it's imperative to show small business owners that we have their back. I think it's imperative to be able to listen to small business owners and have them have a voice in the say of the direction the city goes.
As you can probably tell by now, we met Beebe at Buckman Coffee Factory. He says these visits are his favorite part of the job. He was there when Cassie shared the difficulties of turning her space into a cafe. Her plan fits into how Beebe measures success in his new role.
18 months from now, 24 months from now, when we're sitting here and this place is a full cafe, that's the win.
A win that maybe feels closer for Cassie with a resource like the Office of Small Business.
I just keep thinking, I've got some folks who I feel like are my fixers now. There was a time when it felt like some of our issues were falling on deaf ears, and I feel like we've just recently had maybe with this new change with Prosper Portland coming together with the Office of Small Business, that we're seeing a fresh new energy with that.
New energy Portland needs as it sets its sights on a brighter future. Jumpstarting economic development is complicated. It is not our intention to make it seem simple. We do hope this shows you the challenges and the work underway to address them. As always, you can count on K2 to keep you informed every step of the way. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.